Hello there, and welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 838. That is 838 of the Agostino Zinga Show, coming live and direct from an undisclosed location somewhere within the depths of London. What's going on? What's crack-a-lacking? What's the deal? What's the dealio? And everything else in between. Hope you are well wherever this streaming podcast may find you. I hope you are doing swimmingly. I really bloody do. So how's it been going on my side of town? Not too bad. Today was the first, I think, the first probably day of snow, wet, sleet type of weather that kind of to me signified the real beginning of winter. I feel like we've been stuck in like an autumn winter purgatory here in the UK. It's kind of not been really cold enough to say it's winter, and it's not really been warm enough to say it isn't winter. But I think with the arrival of the sleet, with the arrival of the rain, with the arrival of a little bit of cold, it wasn't as cold as it probably could have been. It was a little bit cold. It wasn't that crazy cold, but a little bit incy wincy cold. I think we have finally arrived to one of the coldest occasions in London. And you know what? I've got to be honest. I'm kind of regretting some of the comments I've made about the summer. I'm not going to lie. I got on this particular pod and I said boldly, I said with my whole entire chest how much I absolutely despised and hated summer. I despised it. I agreed with Brenda hashtag. Big up Brenda hashtag out there. I'm sure she's out there somewhere, very upset and very pissed off, and probably, I wouldn't say, will she cry? Or was she cry? But she's probably upset at the news of her good friend Peter Doe getting ousted out of Helmut Lang. But she made a really good point about, summer fashion being pretty terrible for the most part. I'd say summer fashion for the most part is very discriminatory against men, especially straight men. I think gay men smash summer fashion. I think women in general smash summer fashion. But regular schmegular, toxic men, cisgendered men like myself, we struggle in the summer, because essentially what you end up wearing, if you're just a regular schmegular type of guy, you end up wearing a variation of what you usually wear in the winter. So you get some trousers, you cut them into shorts. You get a t-shirt, you cut it into a flipping tank or into a sleeveless. You get a long sleeve, you cut it into a t-shirt. You get a hoodie, you take off the sleeves. Like, you don't wear socks with your trainers. You just do the same things you did in winter. But I feel like with the gays and the girls, they have a sense of style in the summer. They have like little cute outfits and little things that they put on to make them look nice, I feel like with regular guys, we don't have that ability. So I love it when it's winter, because I can, wear stuff like this, like I've got on the moment, jackets, bandanas, woolly hats, caps in general, parkas, pea coats, bomber jackets, like the list goes on and on. Fleeces, cardigans, god damn it, the list just goes on and on with the amount of stuff you can wear in the winter. But I have to be honest, in London especially, the reason why I kind of regret what I said about not liking summer is because the vibe, the general just look, not the vibe, the aesthetic in the morning. The aesthetics in the morning are not aestheticing, if that makes any sense. They are not aestheticing. Honestly, it's so flipping horrible out there. It's so miserable. Everyone looks like they would rather be anywhere else but outside. They'd rather be anywhere else but on the way to work, anywhere else but on the way to take their kids to school. It's miserable, man. It's miserable. And by the way, salute to all the parents out there who take their kids to school. It's quite nice to see a lot of the parents going on the school run. I'm not going to lie. I remember when I was a child, that wasn't the thing. I think the time, when was the year my parents were taking us to school? We were quite lucky though. We were quite lucky because when I was really young, we lived in Beckton. And the school we went to in Beckton was called Ellen Wilkinson School, and that was literally around the corner from where I lived, like maybe just a 1 minute walk, like literally. So that made it easier. But I don't remember the year, but there must have been a year when my parents stopped taking us to school. But again, I'm lucky also because I have two little brothers who are not that, much, they're not like super young, so I could always kind of take them to school and stuff, and we would kind of look after each other. And then when I left primary school, they look after each other, so there wasn't really a need to have like a chaperone. But it is quite nice to see like parents taking an active interest in taking their kids to school in the morning. Obviously the kids are loving it, because they're getting to go to school, but you see the look on their parents' faces, like they don't want to be outside. And yeah, it's just miserable out there, man. Honestly, London obviously I think is a nicer city to hang out in. Personally, I think in the winter, because we're not built for the summer. We don't have aircon. Most bars and clubs and restaurants don't have chilled drinks. Forget even bars and clubs and restaurants. Most like establishments, with the exception of like 24-hour shop, and then even them, only certain 24-hour shops have fridges that actually work. But for the most part, we just aren't well equipped for like hanging out. There's not a lot of like nice open spaces to go and hang out, and I mean like parks. And when you say that, you think, oh, I'm talking about my house, but it's true. There's not even like benches, because a lot of the nice parks in London, they don't like putting benches in it because they want to dissuade homeless people from sleeping there. Or if they do have benches in them, they're designed in a way, they have like skater stoppers and stuff on them, and other bits of like clever flipping antisocial design little details in there that prevent you from hanging. So you think about it, if you were proposed as a design studio, if you were proposed like as an urban planning advisor to design a park, and one of the main things that they said to you was like, hey, you have to make sure no homeless people sleep in this park. You're going to design benches in a way that would make sure homeless people can't sleep there, and it would also be a bench that a person couldn't sit there for more than an hour. That's why I feel like most park benches in London are designed only for you to sit down on them for an hour. More than that, you start getting really uncomfortable. So the summer in London is a bit crap. So you can't go to an open park, you can't go to an open space, there's no benches, there's no chill drinks anywhere. Everybody's so fuddy-duddy and stuff and anti-fun. If you play your phone out or have a loudspeaker, people are going to be looking at you like you're crackhead. Like, it's just, or you might invite the wrong attention. The sun, people get a bit loopy. It's just a bit all over the place. So winter, at least you get the ability to go into bars, into pubs, into restaurants, rinse and repeat. Especially heading up to like this Christmas season, like most of people, that's what they're going to be doing. Whether or not they're working or not, you're going to be in some version of a pub, a bar, a restaurant, going in again, eating, drinking, shitting, pissing, eating, drinking, shitting, pissing, eating, drinking, shitting, pissing, again and again and again. That's what we do. That is British heritage, and I'm proud of it. Talking about things I'm proud of. Talking about things I'm not proud of. Let's say that. Talking about things I'm not proud of. I've now decided, because I think the other day I made like a really ill-advised tweet where I was commenting on the Jake Paul and Logan Paul, the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, and I made the tweet where I said something along the lines of, I can't believe I stayed up this late to watch this fight. They ruined my weekend. I'm never watching a Jake Paul fight again and again. What a waste of time, right? I did that whole like crybaby tweet, right, on my socials. And I'm here to take that back, because now that I've meditated on it, marinated. You can't marinate yourself, I think, right? Unless you want to be friends with, what's his name? The guy from Call Me By Your Name. But now I've meditated on it a little bit. I honestly don't have any problems with what they did. I don't have any problems with the hokey. I don't have any problems with the okey doke, with the hoodwink, with the scam, with the trick. I don't have any problem with it whatsoever. If anything, the way that they sold that fight and the way that I bought into it says more about me than them, and says more about us collectively as society than them, because they proved what great marketeers they were. They proved how good they are at their jobs, and it also proved that we're mostly, I think myself included, are way more susceptible to good marketing, good social media kind of rollouts and whatever it may be, than we would like to believe. Especially myself, having worked in that industry for a long time and had various roles in various companies doing that sort of thing. I'd like to think of myself as an expert, cringily enough. But when I got duped into watching that fight, when I got duped into actually giving a fuck about it, not even watching the fight, forget that. When I got duped into being invested into the fight, like I was actually invested. I was actually thinking, oh wow, man, this is going to be a fun fight. Tyson's going to get a way to kind of sign himself, sign out kind of properly. He's going to get a chance to beat up somebody that's maybe that's not liked. He's going to be able to put on a show, redemption arc, what a great story, this narrative, whatever, right? That's how I was thinking. And I think most people are thinking the same thing, because I think for the most of us, I'd imagine, we are probably bigger fans of Mike Tyson the person than probably the boxer. I think so, because we're mostly used to seeing him talking very passionately, very wisely about things and life and everything in general. Obviously, I'm sure most of you guys have seen that famous clip of him talking to that young lady, the really small girl, actually, after the fight. That was absolutely flipping hilarious. Oh no, before the fight, that was absolutely hilarious. I got incredibly deep, sort of like, you know, conversation he had with her. And I think a lot of us were just hoping that he would just do the job because we like the guy. But I think some, you know, astute boxing fans out there, people who actually follow the sport, were probably not surprised by what happened. They were not surprised by Jake Paul winning. They were not surprised that he went the distance. They were not surprised at the performance from Jake. They were probably not surprised at the lack of performance from Mike Tyson, and the fact that although we saw those very scary, very intimidating videos of him in training from years back, and I think people forget too, I think that particular video that we'll remember of him being fairly old and kind of ducking and doing that really crazy thing that he does and swinging and going crazy, I think we forget that all of that stuff that we saw was stuff that happened, like, I think that might have been 10 years ago, that particular video of him sparring or of him training in the ring. So since then, you know, he's had some health complications. He's obviously much older, and he's not the same guy. He just isn't the same guy anymore. He's had some operations too. So we saw that, but I think a lot of us who are kind of casual fans, myself included, even though I'd probably like to think of myself as a more of a, you know, clued in kind of combat sports fan and stuff, I think I was, you know, I kind of overestimated my knowledge of, you know, of basketball, of boxing. I overestimated my knowledge of the sweet science, and I bought into all the marketing, I bought into all the social media hype, and I really thought this was gonna be a competitive fight in some regard, and it turned out to be an absolute bore fest. Now, am I going to sit here and start to agree and start to parrot and start to believe this new conspiracy? Because it feels like whenever Jake Paul fights somebody, there's always a conspiracy theory attached to it. Oh, the contract said this, that. It can never just be like Jake Paul picking and choosing his opponents very carefully, very intentionally, being a master marketeer, like, people have to give it to him in terms of marketing and stuff and how he puts himself out there. He's definitely no dummy. He might be a dummy in other fields, in other lanes, in other scenarios, but when it comes to putting on events and getting people to give a fuck, clearly he's shown an ability to do that vis-a-vis his YouTube channel, vis-a-vis him as a personality, streamer, content creator, and obviously this new boxing arc. But I can't believe I generally thought this is going to be a fight, like a competitive one or something mildly entertaining. The great thing that kind of saved this card was really, I think, the supporting cast. They saved it. Let's be fair. The supporting cast saved this card, right? The undercard was pretty decent. And that's something you have to give Jake Paul credit for too. He's out here kind of putting the pressure on Dana White, making sure, you know, everyone's reminded of how horrible, you know, Dana White and co pay the UFC fighters. By the way, I saw a statistic the other day that said, I forgot the fighter, but it says something along the lines of like, he's the first fighter to make like $1 million from like fight bonuses. And then you saw the figure of how many fight bonuses he had to amass to make $1 million. It was 20. So he had to fight 20 times to amass 1 million in fight bonuses. The crazy thing about it is that most boxers, especially the ones who fight like big, you know, opponents, even if it's a journeyman, it's a it's some waste of a space person, they could probably easily on that night make north of 2 to 5 million on that night itself, let alone what they might make after the fact, you know. And the fact that UFC fighters have to fight 20 times just to make $1 million on a bonus is absolutely insane. So I'm really glad that Jake Paul is out there and putting the pressure on Dana and saying all the things that he says about fighter pay and how unfair it is and how Dana White fucks over people, and the fact that he stacks the undercards with like really good legitimate boxing fights so people want to lock in anyway. It's streamed live on Netflix. I don't know what that was all about as well, because allegedly, me personally, I didn't have any problems on my side. I was lucky, but I did see a certain hashtag going viral during the time of the fight itself. People were basically saying it was stuttering and whatever, and loads of issues with the stream, blah 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 blah. But I have to say, the experience of watching it on Netflix was a little bit shit. Not just the UI in itself was a bit weird to watch live sports on there, and it just felt like another one of those like Netflix time sinks. Like, you know, there's, what was that show I watched actually? I think it's called Safe on Netflix. Another one I watched like over the weekend. I quickly binged it, but you know, I got like 3 episodes in. I started like fast forwarding mad sections. Netflix has a lot of those type of shows that you start watching, maybe episode 1 and 2 is good, and then it just like falls off a cliff, but they still have a way of like keeping you hooked. So I feel like this fight was a representative of that type of thing. Like, you know, it felt like one of those garbage Netflix shows where you just, you know, you start it with good intentions, the undercards were pretty good, and then by the time you get to the main card, by the time you get to the main fight, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I stayed up for this stuff. So as much as I want to rag on them, I can't really. They did what they were meant to do. They sold the fight. I bought into it hook, line and sinker. I thought it was legit. I thought it was actually going to be a meaningful fight. I thought I was actually going to see something mildly entertaining, and I was pleasantly surprised or shocked to see that it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Some of the best things that happens in that fight happened basically before it. The interview, the slap, all the back and forths, the Eddie Hearn basically telling Jake he's never going to become a champion. Tyson walking around in his briefs, showing his butt cheeks in the changing room. All the fun stuff happened before the fight or after the fight. Nothing really interesting happened during the fight itself. Absolutely garbage. And again, I'm not buying into this conspiracy theories. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I believe DJ fucking Who Kid allegedly has got the inside scoop on the fact that Jake Paul's and Mike Tyson's contract said he couldn't punch. Like, shut up. Whatever, man. The fight was just shit. It is what it is. He was fighting a 60-year-old man basically, and you know, what did we expect? I expected different, but I shouldn't have expected different, because it was what it absolutely was. But some of the stats, some of the flipping stats behind it is absolutely crazy. Some of the money that's been allegedly made on the back of this fight, and again, I think this is all part of the ruse, by the way. I think this is like similar to like kick deals and like OnlyFans girls. I think with kick deals and OnlyFans creators, the platforms themselves don't mind if you lie, because it makes them look good. So if somebody announces, oh, I've got this flipping $200 million kick deal, and some girls at OnlyFans goes, oh, I make 30 mil a day, they're not going to come out and dispute those claims, right? Because they want you to say that, because it makes them look good. They don't give a fuck. So, you know, like, whatever. Some of these claims about money and gates and how many people watched it is whatever. I'm not really sure who to believe, but they're still interesting to find out. So this is courtesy of CBS Money. How much will Mike Tyson and Jake Paul paid for their fight, and what prize money will their winner earn? So let's see this. They said here, regarding as one of the greatest boxers of all time, 58-year-old Mike Tyson had an estimated net worth of $10 million, according to Celebrity Net Worth. This is a modest sum compared to the hundreds of million dollars Iron Mike, as he is known, accumulated in his career earnings, including $400 million to fight purses, according to Forbes. Over the last decade, Tyson's also fought his way back after filing for bankruptcy in 2003. Though promoters did not reveal exactly how much Tyson earned for Friday's fights, reports online sources say, including DraftKings network, he'll estimate he'll make about $20 million. So that explains, for those of you who are wondering, oh, why is he doing this to himself? Why is Mike putting himself out there like that? Why is he going out so sad? This is depressing. Because you saw a lot of those posts online. This is depressing. This is bumming me out. This is making me sad. Well, I understand why somebody like Mike Tyson, who's as famous as he is, well regarded as he is, who made over $400 million over his career when he was at his peak, and then got scammed out of a lot of it. You know, Don King and all those type of guys, all those crooks back in the day, scammed him out of a lot of money. I'm sure he wasted it on a bunch of blow, paying people, you know, paying people off, you know, buying cars for women and shit, and just living that kind of, you know, crazy lifestyle that he's living back in the day, and ultimately filing for bankruptcy. It makes complete sense why somebody like that at his stage of his career is like, you know what, you know, with the amount of kids that he has and the big family he supports and stuff, I completely understand why he's like, you know what, while I still have the ability to do this, let me do it. Because, you know, as famous as he is, when else is Mike ever gonna get paid to 20 million really like that off the bat? You know, as famous as he is, it's you don't really, so I get why he will take the deal. Now again, will he get the whole 20? Is it 10 and then you get the other 10? I don't know, whoever knows, but I understand why he'd be enticed to get it, because immediately, he could, he triples his flipping net worth over in one night. I get it. It continues. That's about the same dollar amount Tyson earned in his match against Michael Spinks in 1998, a record purse at the time worth roughly $53 million. That bout lasted less than 2 minutes, with Tyson knocking out the previously undefeated Spinks in 91 seconds. In 1992, Tyson was sent to prison for 6 years after being convicted of raping a teenage beauty pageant contestant. He was released on parole after 3.5 years, returned to boxing in 1995 in a match against Peter Neely, which was dispatched by the technical knockout in under 90 seconds. By the way, quiet be kept, right? Whether Trump's in presidency or not, because everyone's like, oh, Trump's in presidency, Trump's a president now, second term Trump, blah, 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 counterculture's over. Could you ever see a scenario in modern media, in modern culture, when anybody could get sent to prison for rape, especially of a teenage beauty pageant contestant, come out and then become as famous as Mike Tyson? A part of me believes it could be possible, because I think talent outshines. I don't think we've actually lost. If you think about counterculture, have we actually lost anybody notable? Like actually somebody that's like, with the exception of maybe R. Kelly. And even R. Kelly, at the time he was going cancelled, was he actually making good music anyway? I don't really know. Some of his older stuff is great, R&B, legendary R&B music, but we haven't really lost anybody. So I think if somebody actually really talented, I think people will be surprised with how quickly you'll forgive them. Because I think we're realizing the lack of actual, I think that's a topic for another fucking pod, the lack of actual good things, the lack of actual good art and talented people out there is making us realize that the ones that we do have that can make that stuff, we keep them close and we turn a blind eye to all the bullshit. We turn a blind eye to all the crap they say. Like, it kind of makes me understand in a weird way, weird tangent, why some barbs are so obsessive over Nicki Minaj, because it's like what else do you want them to do? Like, if they don't listen to Nicki, who else are they going to go listen to? There's literally no one that comes close to her from the new school girls. If anything, the closest girl to her is Doja Cat, and even she's not really that close to her at all. So I understand why, the barbs are so like, oh, God, this is our person. We're going to ride or die for them regardless. We don't care who they are, what they do, what they say, who they marry, who they have kids with. We don't give a fuck. This is our guy, because this is our woman, sorry, because there's no one else out there doing it like they do. So yeah, I don't know. I think you'd be surprised. I think like God forbid it happening, but if Timothy Chalamet, however you fucking say his name, was ever convicted of R word and shit, I think he'd bounce back in a jiffy. But he's way too beloved. What I mean? He's way too good at what he does. There's no way he wouldn't be able to bounce back. I don't think so. But I think, unfortunately, when it comes to counterculture, if you do get cancelled properly and you're out of a career, it's probably more of an indictment that you're just like not talented than it is about you being a bad person. Wild to say, but I think that's true. You're just not talented. You just haven't got the clout necessary to kind of weather that storm. Tyson would go on to earn $30 million for each of his 4 next fights, which included the infamous 1997 fight against Evander Holyfield, in which Tyson bit the piece of his opponent's ear off. Tyson was disqualified from the fight, and the box license revoked and fined $3 million, but was allowed to keep the purse. Ugh, such a bad boy, innit? Imagine biting someone's ear off, but you still get to keep the money. Crazy. So allegedly, Jake Paul was set to make $40 million, according to an estimate from DraftKings Network and other sources, double what Tyson expected to receive. A simple explanation for what may be that a top social media influencer, with 27 million followers on Instagram alone, is also a co-founder of the Most Valuable Promotion, MVP, the company promoting the extravaganza in partnership with Netflix. His net worth is estimated at 80 million, according to Celebrity Net Worth, with a 10-1 fight record, mostly against mixed martial arts and other pro boxing newcomers under his belt. Paul, a former child star and YouTube prankster, began boxing career in 2018. $40 million. So I get it, man. I get it. Maybe it's my fault. It's not maybe. It was my fault. I bought into the hype. I bought into the propaganda. I bought into the social media. I bought into the hype. I bought into the marketing. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, and I only myself to blame. So congratulations to Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Hope they enjoy their monies. Moving on. I've spent some time at this very desk watching this very video of Ruben Amorin's first training session at United via the official Manchester United YouTube channel. And I have pleasured myself watching this video repeatedly since it dropped. I can't even lie, I might have watched this 100 times. I have pleasured myself watching this video. And the reason why I've pleasured myself watching this video and why I'm giving you these details, whether you're eating or drinking, and I'm giving you all this TMI, I don't apologize for nothing, is because we finally have a manager, we finally have a coach that's coaching our players. We have a coach that's on the training field, right in amongst the players, taking part in every single training drill. Very meticulous. Clearly you can see just from this 6-minute video, meticulous attention to detail, pulling certain players aside like Kobbie Mainoo and giving them specific instructions about where he wants them to be on the pitch, going to other players, individual players, and telling them where they should be at all points in terms of when it comes to, you know, the phases of play, running little drills where we pass the ball in certain patterns of play. I even saw a period in this particular training clip where there was 2 goals scored that looked the same. And I was like, oh my God, this is something that United never do. United never, in my history, in my time being a United fan, post Alex Ferguson, we don't even score United goals. Maybe apart from the time with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with a counter-attacking thing. But for the most part, there was no rhyme or reason to our goals. Most of it was just individual brilliance. Just the players up front figuring it out. The number 10s, the wingers, the strikers, just figuring it out. There was no like cohesive teamwork that was kind of behind what we were doing. You couldn't really see what the players were doing on the training ground. But now you have a coach, an actual coach for the first time, maybe since Louis van Gaal. We have an actual coach that you can see that is drilling the players. He's setting up to play a certain way. And one thing I got from this training session was intensity. I think a lot of players are going to struggle under this. Like, this guy is very demanding. There's some drills that he runs. So from what I've been able to see in this video, he runs some passing drills where all the players attack a certain way. But then he, you know, randomly during the drill, he will like blow the whistle and they'll have to run back as a team. So I guess it's to simulate if the opposing team counterattacks or you give the ball away and you have to kind of run back as a team. So he demands a high level of fitness, a high level of just tenacity, hunger, whatever it may be. So I think some of our older players, some of the players are maybe a bit lazy, like the Luke Shaws are like, who I saw kind of, you know, struggling in some sessions to kind of keep up with the pace of walking back, is going to really struggle. Weirdly enough, Johnny Evans at the back looked pretty good, spraying the ball left to right at the center of a back three. But I think a lot of players are going to struggle under this manager in terms of the amount of demands and the intensity that he puts on the players, because he's on them like a rash. He is right in there. He's literally occupying the position of like a flipping referee. He's instructing everything. He's seeing everything. He's blowing. He's going crazy. So I'm curious to see, and I'm really hopeful that the club give this manager carte blanche to be like, hey, I don't want this player, get him out. Because if this intensity in this little training session I saw is what is going to be, imagine, because this is just like an open training session that they're going to record, there's probably going to be more training sessions that are going to be way more intense. If this is the level they're going to be playing at, you know, in other sessions too, and it's going to get only higher, the intensity, oof, some of these players are going to throw their toys out of the pram. They're going to get very annoyed very quickly because they're going to get made to feel very inadequate, very short, and clearly not, you know, surplus to requirements, and then it'll end up causing problems. So I hope he gets given the remit to be like, hey, these players aren't for me, let's get them out so they don't a bad kind of vibe around the dressing room, and let's just move on. I'd love to see that happening. I honestly wish that does happen, and I really do hope, because there was a clip earlier on, is him talking to Mainoo. There's a clip earlier on where he's really encouraging Mason Mount, and for me personally, I don't know about you guys, but other United fans out there, I've not really been too keen on the whole like Galactico thing that we were trying to do. And I also don't think like transfers are always the answer to everything. I just would wish the manager could get the best out of some of the players, because I don't believe that all of the players that we have are fucking horrible. Most of them are, but I don't believe every single one of them is. And it's no coincidence that whenever some of our players go to other teams, they suddenly start playing like fucking world beaters. So clearly they weren't as bad as we saw them play for us. So I just would love to see, I would love nothing better than to see, you know, Ruben Amorin get the best out of Mason Mount, who I thought was a waste of money and never deserving of the number 7 jersey. But what a turnaround that would be. Ruben Amorin coming in, getting the best out of fucking Anthony, the much maligned Anthony. Imagine he turns him into a fucking baller. Ruben Amorin coming in and getting the best out of Zersky, getting the best out of Hoyland, like getting the best out of Ahmad, who he allegedly is really keen on. Like, I would fucking love nothing more than that. I would love nothing more than that. So really am hoping that could be the case. I'm really curious to see what happens once all the players come back from international duty, because these are just the players left over who, some of them are coming back from injury and some of them weren't selected or didn't play internationally for their club, for their nations. So they're obviously training during this time. So I'm curious to see what will happen when most of the big guns come back in. But I'm just so happy to see an actual coach for once. A coach demanding things off of the players, being on them, instructing them on how we want to play, how we want to build, looking after the ball, demanding this, demanding that. There's a section of this later on in the video where I think the ball ends up in the corner flag somewhere, and he's telling them to just keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. And it's like, oh yeah, finally, no more hot potato football. Finally, no more hitting hopes. Finally, no more individual brilliance. Finally, no more fucking Captain Fantastic performances. It's going to be a collective performance. We attack as a team, we defend as a team, we score as a team. Like, that's going to be beautiful to see. Honestly, I cannot wait. And there's also this promotion of youth team players. Allegedly, the guy, for the kid, his name is Obi Martin, the one we signed from Arsenal. He allegedly is going to get fast tracked to playing with the first team. Another kid as well, I think he's a centre back, who's like 6'5" and 16. He looks like a beast. He's also going to be fast tracked into the first team. So clearly there's been a focus on the youth, which kind of makes me think, to be honest, maybe the board had in mind getting rid of Erik ten Hag for a long time. Maybe they had Ruben Amorin in mind as being the manager for them for a very, very, very long time. Because the signing of that Obi Martin kid, the signing of flipping Ugarte, for me, speaks to maybe the club knowing that ETH was never going to be their guy, you know? Never going to be their guy. So it's good to see. So moving on from that, open training session, there was this really cool interview that he did, the first kind of interview with Manchester United, or with MUTV, and he spoke about identity. And for me, this is the big thing, and something that we've always kind of bemoaned with recent coaches and managers that we've had at the club, is this inability for them to come in and stamp their authority and have us play with a certain style of play. It seems to be like a buzzword, but for United fans, it's been something that's been lacking for a while. It's been a lot of kind of trying to find a style of play where there is no style of play to be had, or the style of play that we were trying to do wasn't working and wasn't bringing the best out of the players that we had, and it felt like our style of play was entirely dependent on transfers, which I felt like doesn't really make sense if you're a style of play merchant. I don't know. It was all over the shop. But regardless, finally everything's fixed. We've now got a coach that's coming in with an identity. We've now got a coach who's not saying he's just going to change how he plays based on the players that is available, but he's basically, you know, not making any big promises, but saying that, hey, I'm going to play a certain way, and that's how I'm going to play. Whether or not it's going to be successful or not is up to, you know, to see. But for the most part, you will see that we have an identity. We have a way of playing. And that's all I want to see. And for the most part, for me personally, maybe I'm a bit more of a pragmatic United fan, but there's no part of me that's looking at Amorin and thinking of like titles and trophies. None. I'm not expecting him to win anything. First season, second season. I want him to build. I want him to kind of get these players playing. Find a squad. Figure out who his best players are, identify some gaps in the team and fill them with quality players, believe in the youth, and have me and other fans excited about watching our games again, and have us playing exciting, fast, attacking, free flowing, high goal scoring brand of football. But trophies and all that stuff, I could give a toss. That eventually will happen if you're playing well and doing the right things. But I think at this point, like, we've been so starved of watching a good brand of football, with these players in these jerseys and stuff, that I'm just happy just to have that. That's it. That's it. I don't really care about trophies, but I'm sure other fans out there are probably hoping we win the Europa League or something. I don't know. But let me read the actual article. His side must win as they bid to claw their way from 13th place in the current Premier League standings, but promise fans he'll work overtime to reclaim what he believes is their rightful place at the top of the English game. So eventually he wants to get there, but for now they've got to win games and climb back, which is fine, completely understandable. We know that we need time, but we have to win time. I love that, by the way. No understanding, oh, we're going to come in and just, we're going to make it happen. Give us time, give us time. I think it was also, my bad, reflected in the length of the contract. I think the length of the contract was a reflection of the change in sporting ownership and direction. As maybe in previous years we would have given someone like an Amorin a 3-year, maybe 4 or 5 year contract because we believe his potential. I think this time he was given, I think it was like 2.5 years or something along those kind of lines. So clearly the idea behind it is that you have to show us something, then we're going to reward you, as opposed to just getting a long contract like players managers have got in previous years, which obviously gives the people the incentive to kind of do better. It continues. From day one, we will start with our identity. Of course, we are going to prepare the games, but we will focus a lot on our game model, how to play, how to press, these small details. This, to me, is something that we've been missing. We've been missing the details. We've been missing how to play. We've been missing seeing players press. None of that shadow pressing, as Nuruddin would say. Big up him and his channel, United Real Therapy. He's always banging on about us shadow pressing. You see us playing the games and you see one player going to press, maybe a second player following, but then the third player doesn't do it, so it just negates the whole point of pressing. No collective pressing, no pressing as a team, no pressing even as a unit, like no triggers really, just people deciding when they want to press, like all over the place. So those small details, I'm all over it. It continues. You cannot go 100% on every detail because it will be confusing for the players. So if I have to say one thing, my main goal, my first goal is identity. God almighty. This is what I love to see. This is what I love to hear. He's essentially coming in and saying, the moment you see us play, you will immediately be able to tell this is a Ruben Amorin Man United team. This is no longer a Erik ten Hag Man United team or previous managers Man United team. This is a Ruben Amorin Man United team. He's going to get these players playing, defending, pressing in a particular way. And that's it. I love it. I flipping love to hear it. So big up Ruben Amorin. And he what's the thing called? He continued here. What's he said here? Anything? I'm a small part. Okay, that's basically it for the most part. So big up Ruben Amorin. Can't wait to see the first game. Already super excited to see us play. Already super excited to see what he's going to be doing with these young players. Already excited and happy to see how close he seems to be with the players already forming relationships, connections, meeting them where they're at. Kind of being a regular dude, I feel like a little bit with a training kit and being on the training ground. Maybe it helps as a former player, so he kind of understands those little tricks and shit. But I think in general, there's just a warm, charismatic familiarity about him that's kind of helping things as well. So, and again, as much as I hate these players, I think they kind of need it. I don't think these type of players that we have at the moment are good with tyrants. They need maybe an arm around the shoulder and or there's something to believe in and buy into, someone inspirational. And it seems like Ruben Amorin has a right mix of that and also being a proper coach, which we needed too. So I'm really excited to see how this develops. Really, really, really excited to see how this develops. Hopefully it goes well. Wagwan. And actually, forget that, scrap that. Big up all the women on the train who don't give a damn. Big up all the women on the train on the commute to work who don't care about picking fights or about being aggressive and being a bit spicy when they see me. When I maybe inadvertently, dig my flipping elbow into their ribs, or when my bag, pushes them in the back or something, or when my overall big African black man presence somehow makes them feel, a little bit uncomfortable. Big up the lady, especially one the other day who was giving me the worst side eye, looking me up and down, dirty looks, daggers from where she was standing. I could feel her eyeballs literally tearing into the side of my neck. Her eyeballs were like knives or like daggers, just ka-chub. If you watch Dawn Prophecy, right? I mean, Dune Prophecy, you would have seen them for the first episode. The lady, she does the flipping thing and makes her flipping stab herself in the neck. That's what that woman was doing to me. I feel like that woman on the train today wanted me to grab a knife that I didn't have and slit my own throat on that train just because I had inadvertently touched her. And it wasn't my fault. The line that I go on, the time that I go, my commute in general, it's just rammed. It's packed. I go on some of the busiest lines in London. It's the busiest time of the day, both on the way there, on the way back from work. It just is what it is. To avoid all the rush, you have to kind of wait an hour. And I'm not doing that. The last thing you want to do when you're finishing work is stay there longer. You want to get the fuck out of there and come back home. So I'm running streaming back home, the same as every other flipping person all around the world. We're all squeezing and flipping, cramming ourselves into these trains. This particular train comes, and to be fair to the young lady, to be fair to her, she was unlucky. Because if I'm not mistaken, the 2 trains prior to the one that I got on got cancelled. So the platform was busier than it probably would have been, more packed than it probably would have been. Cool. We all get on the train. The train comes, it opens its doors, and unfortunately there's a load of us trying to get on because we don't want to wait, because we've already missed 2. We don't want to miss the 3rd one. So we just run on. We run on and try and make it happen. And unfortunately for this young lady, I'm the one that comes behind her. Now, to be fair to me, when I came on, I was hoping when I squished in, when the doors closed, I could kind of step back a bit and give her a bit of room. But it didn't matter. It was so packed that when I went onto the train, immediately my kind of bag, that's my satchel thing, was in her ribs. Now, some of you can sit there and say, oh, why don't you take off your bag? Let me tell you this. It doesn't exist. That's not a thing anymore, by the way. Maybe it's something that's happened prior, or maybe it's like pandemic. But now in the post-pandemic world, I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, and I think I spoke about it previously on another pod, there's no common decency on trains anymore. People are on their phones, playing things on loud without headphones. People aren't giving up seats for heavily pregnant women. Legit, I've seen it twice now. The heavily pregnant woman's had to like really make a song and dance about it. She's had to like really sigh and loudly and like put her hands on her waist for someone to give her a seat. Legit. So the sad thing as well, there's not even people who are doing that thing of like, hey, get up. No one's even doing that. So the people sitting down aren't looking up because they don't want to give up their seat, raggo. And the people on the train who are standing up aren't even coming in, to the flipping pregnant lady's rescue and trying to be like, hey, publicly shaming someone like, hey, give this lady a seat, please. No one's doing that. So it's every man, dog, woman for themselves. So cool. Get on the train, get on the thing. No one takes off their bag anymore. Everyone just keeps it on. Especially people that put their bag on the front, those tourists who don't want to get pickpocketed. But nobody so far I've seen comes on the train and takes off their bag and puts it by their feet like you're meant to do. No one does that. So everyone's kind of bag is smashing into each other. Everyone's coat is, smashing into people's faces. So I get on my bag, but I try and at least place it in my front so it's not like super, impeding everybody. But unfortunately, it's still going to be digging into this lady's ribs. So then I decide, okay, cool. Well, now I'm on there. I should lower it a bit so I can not have it dig into her ribs because clearly I can see that was the issue. But it didn't matter because if I put the bag a little bit down, my arms will still be digging into her ribs. So at one point I was thinking to myself, like, there's nothing I can do. Everything I'll do will still result in this lady being touched without her consent, And the thing is, she's not even special. We're all getting our privacy invaded. Nobody here is not feeling a little bit icky because somebody is legitimately right up their bumper because it's rush hour flipping commute or rush hour traffic. It basically is in the morning. But then she was just being like extra bitchy with me. I was like, I couldn't understand why. Constantly looking back and giving me evils. I was like, at one point I went to myself like, what should I do here? Should we get into an argument? Like, should I ask this person like if they're okay? Do we get into like a back and forth? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to fight me or something? Like, but then a part of me also kind of liked it. I was like, you know what? I kind of like that girls nowadays, like, don't mind getting into a little bit of a tussle with a man them. Like, okay, cool. You're annoying me. I don't like the cut of your flipping jib. I hate your face. I hate your body. I hate everything about you. Hate your presence. Hate your aura. I'm just going to give you these daggers. And if you say something, raggo, I'm going to scratch you with my acrylic nails or whatever they're going to do. Because, back in the day, I felt like, just by default of my race and maybe my size, I could get away with just like, intimidating people just by standing. But I love like nowadays, no one's scared, man. No wonder you're scared. Everyone just wants it. You know what I mean? Because that girl was ready. If I would have said something, she would have popped off. Like, she was ready to go. I was like, what? Like, such a roller coaster of emotions. At one point, I was like, okay, she's mugging me off. I have to teach her a lesson. I have to say something and put her in her place. And at one point, I was like, rah, respect it. I respect the game. Tiny lady just like not having it. Not having it. She wanted to fight me, man. She wanted to fight me in the train. But yeah, madness, what can you do? It kind of is what it is. I try to keep my head above it all and try and remain calm. And to be fair, part of me is like, I shouldn't think like this because I think when you're on crash out mode, you should just crash out. That's probably why I'm not a crash out artist. But my thinking when it comes to this type of situations is that if I do get into a back and forth in an argument with this person, I'm always thinking of the person that comes on at the next station that didn't know what happened and how crazy I look. That's what I think about. I think about the person who wasn't paying attention during the whole thing and looks up and sees me, 6 foot black guy screaming at this like blonde white lady who's like 5 foot something. The optics are just horrible. The optics are horrible. No matter if I'm in the right, no matter if she cussed out my mom, she disrespected like somebody in my family, she spat in my face, kicked me in the nuts. Nothing will ever justify whatever you see when you look up at me towering over this person, spitting feathers, or God forbid, doing something with my hands, knees, elbows, and toes. It's not gonna work. So I get put off by even engaging in those arguments because you always look crazy. And I'm also a chill, kind dude, I think, for the most part. But I'm very conscious of my ability or tendency to like panic in those moments and just do the most just to make myself feel less panicky and less scared. Like I'm prone to go pretty far. I think that's why that's why I avoid getting into sort of like physical altercation or arguments, because I know like if someone does something to me where I feel like I'm embarrassed or I feel like they're laughing at me or something, I'm gonna go like I don't know, I'm just gonna black out, you know what I mean? And it might end really badly, do you know what I mean, for everybody involved. Like I might legitimately do some time behind bars, like, and I'm not even saying that to be like hard or anything. It's just an unfortunate I think it's an unfortunate consequence of having like a lot of a lot of mental issues, probably. Maybe a lot of pride, but most likely a lot of undiagnosed mental issues where if you feel a little bit embarrassed, you feel a little bit just ridiculed, you suddenly fly off the handle just to kind of recalibrate yourself and make yourself feel good, make yourself feel whole. You just air out the whole thing, you know what I mean? Done everybody's dance on that train, you know what I mean? Everybody's mum's flipping starting to GoFundMe on that flipping train. I don't really know. Regardless, big up that lady, appreciate you and respect the flipping aggression. I respect the bravery, seeing a black man and still like giving him the flipping eyes all the way on that train for that very long, excruciating 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Wow, what an absolute G. What an absolute G. I respect her. I respect her. I respect her. Talking about women I respect, talking about the women that I respect out there, talking about the women I respect out there. Big up this young lady for coming out and absolutely blowing up Tommy Fury's spot. Woman who claims to have slept with Tommy Fury releases alleged photos of them. I think I might play this on one of my random shows. Essentially, this woman here on the left was at the center of some sort of cheating scandal with Tommy Fury. She went on the podcast and was very proudly talking about her dalliance and sexual escapades with Tommy Fury while he was at that time. She described the story. She told the story of how she hooked up with Tommy Fury in Dubai while he was still with his, baby mum and Mrs. X, I guess, fiance or whatever. And she seemed very excited about it. And it also, from the clip I saw, again, it wasn't a long clip, but it did seem like she wasn't really encouraged. She kind of just came out of it herself. Like, she was kind of itching to tell somebody and she just kind of like blurted it out, That's the really funny thing. No one actually like asked. So I respect that a lot. I respect the zero kind of, encouragement, zero bait. She didn't get tricked. It wasn't taken out of context. She was just sitting on that couch, doing the podcast with those dudes and just thought, you know what? I'm gonna share some tea. I'm gonna share some news, so people need to know. And she just blew up his spot, and it's something you don't really see too often for the most part. I think you're more likely to see guys pillow talk
Like, you're more likely to see a guy come out and be really cringy and pillow talk and talk about, you know, all the stuff that he got up to with somebody famous, or just a time when he got up to some crazy madness. But you rarely see women pillow talk like this, especially without encouragement. I think when they're sharing and being all, you know, oh my God, love a relationship is the only thing we think about, then they share. But this woman was just on I think it was a dude's podcast. She just went, you know what? Let me let these guys know. Maybe it was like a little signal too, because sometimes girls like this love to share those type of stories as like a kind of signal. Like, yeah, I'm one of the good ones. You know, if you want a bonk, let me know. That type of vibe. And obviously it sent it into a bit of a tizzy, which it shouldn't really, because, you know, Tommy Fury and that girl have already broken up. Who really gives a crap what happened? But it's just something you don't really see girls kind of do. But I do respect the, like, just pure shamelessness of it. But now she's releasing pictures, because I guess some people, and this is the really sad thing, some people are suggesting that she's really ugly. Some people are saying she's really ugly compared to Molly May, and they can't understand how Tommy Fury is hooking up with her. So I think the reason why she released these pictures is because the internet were like, no way, Tommy would never get with you. You are ugly. Look at what Molly May looks like. That doesn't make any sense. Blah, 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 blah. And obviously she had the receipts, and she said, all right, cool. You guys think I'm ugly? Well, he smashed this ugly bee. So here are all the pictures of her with Tommy. Like, I guess they're in some sort of first class plane, maybe on her way to Dubai, and she's sat on her knees in between Tommy Fury's legs with the door closed. By the way, I wonder how many people get up to madness in those flights. These crazy first class Dubai airline flights. I think there's some of them that go to like parts of Southeast Asia. There's really cool YouTube videos of people that do them and sleep on them, and, you know, record their whole experience, and they're really amazing, incredibly luxurious. They give you champagne, restaurant, you know, Nobu level fucking food and stuff. Incredible. But they're also known to be like little hotel rooms in themselves, and you have literal doors you can kind of close. So I wonder how often or how frequently it happens that people just get up to, you know, some adult business whilst they close the flipping thing. Like, it puts a whole new spin on the Mile High Club, innit? But yeah, that's her sitting down in between his legs, you know, very suggestive. Maybe she's praying, who knows? Another picture of her sitting in his G-Wagon, I'm assuming. I think this is a G-Wagon that she mentioned in the podcast. She's like, yeah, and then I sucked him off in the G-Wagon. I was thinking, rotted, bro. Is that what all it takes? All it takes is just getting a G-Wagon and you're gonna get sucked off. Cool, man. So that's her sitting down. There's another picture of her again. Like, I don't know if this is the first time this lady has had like adult fun. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's the first time this lady has hooked up with another adult male. Maybe, but I don't understand why this is like even being shared. Like, oh, look, you guys don't believe we fucked? Well, look at this picture. My leg on his leg, my hand on his penis over his shorts. Okay, cool, man. I guess. And obviously that's the clip of her on that podcast that people are going crazy about. But obviously that brings us onto the topic of people just not understanding, innit? I don't know. People not understanding the utility of whores. You know? When it comes to men and stuff. Like, I don't know. I think if most guys had access to whores, would they just smash even if their wife was a flipping 10-10-10? Most likely. It's just there, innit? Like, what? Like, do you know? Like, and the really weird thing, or the really interesting thing that I think a lot of like non-men have a hard time wrapping their head around is just how like normal it is for this sort of stuff to happen, where a guy supposedly cheats on the more attractive partner for an uglier woman, because usually the quote-unquote uglier person is just there and available and down to flipping party, innit? Down to flipping get naughty, down to do some dicey interesting things in the bedroom and just go a little bit crazy and really give no pushback or have no real opinions, you know, and really demand little of you apart from, you know, maybe an Uber, maybe a meal here and there, a bed if you can stretch it. You know, that's all they require. So I get why dudes do it. Personally, I think if you're somebody prominent, you've got too much to lose to kind of get involved with like legit whores, because unfortunately whores, you know, will eventually kind of, you know, stab you in the back, which is what they're meant to do. I have no issue with it, you know, regardless. I think more power to them out there, you know, big up my whores. But I just find it interesting how people just can't wrap their head around, you know, Tommy Fury maybe allegedly doing what he's been accused of. back in the day. It's like, yeah, I get it, man. You know, he was bored. The hawk probably kept blowing up his line. You know, put her on a jet. She was super happy to, you know, somebody flipping paid for her to go somewhere. You know, like super grateful. She wanted to return the favor. Sloppy toppy, here we go. You know, all the way to flipping Marrakesh. You know, or wherever they're going, Doha. I don't know. You know, I get it. It's not for me personally. You know, like I said, I think that lifestyle of like smashing all the whores is just prone to it's prone to blow up in your face at some point. But I also understand why some dudes decide to, you know, dabble their little toes in that situation. So hey, Tommy Fury, he can do what he wants, I guess. Molly May, she can do what he wants, and this girl, she can do what she wants too. It's all good. It's all so good. Moving on. This is kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie, and also kind of crazy. 18-year-old Londoner detained in Dubai over sex with a 17-year-old Brit. I'm just happy that the ages are what they are, right? I'm just happy, first off. But the story is pretty heartbreaking. Let's read. An 18-year-old from Tottenham holiday with his parents has turned into a months-long ordeal that could lead to 20 years in prison after he was charged with sex with a woman who was 17 at the time. She is now 18. Marcus Fakana joined his parents for what was supposed to be a short holiday from the 26th of August. During his vacation, he met a fellow Londoner staying at the same hotel. The holiday romance blossomed. They tried to spend as much time as they could together during the trip and got along so well they hoped the romance would continue on their return trip home. I'm not too sure about you, but these kids nowadays are moving fast, bro. I think my first holiday away but alone with my friends only, no parents, might have been like a good one actually. Might have been when I was like 21 or something, when we went to New York. That might have been the first one. Don't get me wrong, it was a sick one to go to back then, but that was the first one. And even then, there was no, I don't know, maybe a couple of people in the crew got some action, but for the most part, it was us just like drinking 40s, going to really cool burger spots and, you know, bodegas and getting hot dogs and running around flipping, you know, New York, trying to, you know, cause a ruckus and, you know, flipping, doing horrible graffiti and shit. That was basically most of our time, but there was really zero action. We might have seen some things from afar, like, oh my God, oh! You know what I mean? And flipping free time, Latinas, they're real, you know, like from afar, but there was no action. So I can't imagine how flipping rizzy, how much of a riz god you have to be as a child to go on a holiday with your parents and still be able to smash something. Like you have to be like a caps lock riz. You know what I mean, Rizla? You honestly have to be that guy. You are that guy. If you're 18 with your parents and you still manage to tear something down, like, God damn it, bro. But anyway, it turns to tragedy. Let's continue the story. We had a wonderful time together. We really liked each other, but she was secretive with her family because they were strict. My parents knew about our relationship, but she couldn't tell hers. She had to meet me without telling them it was to see a boy. When she left, I couldn't wait to see her again. When I got home, then suddenly police knocked on our hotel door. They said that they were taking me to questioning, but wouldn't tell me why. I couldn't imagine what for. I was frightened and my parents terrified. I'm wondering, as a guy, right? I'm wondering as a dude, what would be worse? I'm trying to think as a dude, what would be worse? What would be worse as a dude? Coming back home and then being pulled aside by police and then them finding that you have like a brick of coke in your luggage. You didn't put it there, someone put it in there, and then you ending up in prison. Or you being pulled off of a flight because somebody's accused you of the R word on your way back home. What's more terrifying? Like, what would actually make you consider unaliving yourself? I think the latter, you know. I think the R word. Because I think the coke story, most people would, if you're an upstanding citizen, if you're like a good person, most people will know it's not you anyway. And something really crazy happened, right? Somebody maybe tried to, like, you know, put the thing, and who knows, you might be able to get some representation who might be able to kind of defend you correctly and you can clear your name. But getting hauled off of a plane or having them come to your hotel and arrest you because allegedly somebody said you may have R-worded them on holiday. Nah, man, take me out, man. Send me to heaven, man. Send me to heaven. Marcus was held at the notorious Al Barsha police station for 3 days, unable to make a phone call and speak to his parents. They were so worried sick reports Wahada Sterling, CEO of Detained in Dubai, who was assisting Marcus. He was told his girlfriend's mother had reported oh my God, this is where it gets really sad. He was told his girlfriend, the holiday romance one, mother had reported a relationship to the authorities in Dubai after she arrived back to London. Marcus later found out the mother had looked on her daughter's phone and found their chats and pictures. She was furious and reported to the Dubai's police. Number one thing, I think, similar to relationships or similar, I think, again, I say this without having children, I think it's pretty irresponsible and quite destructive and really ill-advised to open your child's phone, especially a teenager, and go looking for things, because you're not going to be happy with what you see. Like, imagine you're just you just search your kid's phone and you just see their search history. It's not gonna make you happy, right? You're gonna get mad. So you're better off just like, trying to raise them right to make sure you mitigate for those things that you're afraid of, as opposed to kind of digging into your teenage girl's flipping phone and finding things that you shouldn't be finding or looking at. Like, she did a madness. But to report the kid, for our word, is flipping wild. Like, that is sinister. That's some evil stuff. That's some evil stuff to report that kid, like you are with your daughter, just because you disapprove the relationship, just because she was doing it in secretly and whatever it may be. Maybe it's the first time you found out your daughter's sexually active, whatever it may be. Cool, it's heartbreaking, it's distressing, crazy thing to find out, but destroying another kid's life off the back of it, ruining another family's holiday, and just destroying everything, their year, whatever, turning it all upside down. That's really heinous, man. That is heinous. That's some dark stuff. That's also like a level of avoidance that's really interesting, isn't it? It's clear the mother doesn't want to address or kind of accept the fact that her daughter is growing up to be a young woman and doing whatever young women maybe are doing at that age. She just doesn't want to, which is understandable, because I think, I can imagine having a daughter, you're probably you're way more protected than you probably would be if you had a son. But you have to just talk to the daughter. You have to kind of deal with it as a family behind closed doors yourselves. You don't just involve other people because you're just trying to lash out and you're trying to not deal with what's going on at home. Like, God damn it. If anything as well, I always find these type of situations, don't mothers or parents that are this strict or that are this crazy with their reactions, don't they end up causing more damage than good? Like, this girl, like, if her mum reacts like this over a holiday rope, because imagine, she met this boy on holiday in Dubai. Dubai's like a nice place. So both sets of parents were out in Dubai. This kid probably comes from a good home. Mum, dad, like everybody, whatever, good family unit, respectful kid, like calm. And then you fly off the handle with him. So that girl for sure is never going to tell that woman anything again. You're making it way worse. It continues. This is clearly very strict mother this is a very clear strict mother to involve police in a private matter that is completely legal in the country where she lives and where the children have grown up. Perhaps she wasn't aware of that she triggered the possibility of a young man of only 18 spending the next 20 years in prison. Dubai has only recently legalized out of wedlock sex for tourists. Right, so before if you went to Dubai and you linked you ended up kind of crossing paths with some adult lady in a bar somewhere and you hooked up, you might end up in prison. That's wild. But I guess someone had to report you, innit? Yeah. If you took some girl off somebody else in the club, maybe that guy could report you. That's like top level dirty macking, innit? That's another level of dirty macking. Imagine how much of a absolute deplorable person you have to be to see a guy take the thing that you were talking to in a bar. Obviously you're going to be pissed, ego's going to be a bit dented, but then to be like, you know what, Raggo, if I can't have her, he can't have a life. You just call I don't know, whatever the fucking number is for Dubai police, 000, and then boom, you get the guy locked up. Crazy. Since his arrest, he has turned 18 and Marcus will not be facing 20 years in jail. This is not something Dubai should be prosecuting. There's the kid, by the way. Legitimately looks like like a child. He even looks younger than 18, I'd say. I'd say he looks like 16, 17. God almighty, man. Hold your head up, Marcus. Hold your head up. Free him. Free him. Parents will be scared to take their older teenagers on vacation with them, where they could end up losing their lives over behavior that's completely legal in their own. By the way, I don't like how he keeps stressing that it's legal. Like, let's relax. let's relax with this lawyer, like emphasizing it's legal for those teenage kids to be like, let's relax a little bit. Marcus and his family are calling the local MP, the Honourable David Lammy, to assist. Miss Sterling, an expert witness herself, says Mr. Lammy was appointed as the Foreign Secretary 2024, is a perfect position to help Marcus. Dubai police have the power to drop the case against Marcus and let him come home. This is not something we want to do to young people, and we ask Mr. Lammy to convey his message to his counterparts. Yeah, hopefully David Lammy pulls his finger out and gets his kid home. Obviously, we know if this kid's complexion was a little bit lighter, if his name was Jimmy Smith, from Stockport, he'd get a lot more better. You know, the turnaround would have been quick. Let's say he would have been free already by now. But yeah, let's hope in general that this turns around and this situation doesn't end up getting worse. Let's say here at the bottom, Marcus told Miss Sterling today, I'm living in Airbnbs that are costing my family $2,000 per month. They had to go home to work. They earn a humble living. My mother is a cleaner. My dad works in a warehouse. They saved up for this one-off holiday. And now, oh my God, it gets worse, bro. They don't even go on holidays like that. And they saved up some pee to go on holiday with their boy, mum and dad. And then look what happens. They saved up for this one-off holiday, and they now have used all their savings. The police demanded 10,000 AED for bail, which I've been told is not normal, and the costs are mounting. I'm here all alone, praying. I pray this. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing, but anyway, bang your doors, Marcus, man. Free him. Free Marcus. Like, free Marcus. Dubai is a flipping madness. Honestly, Dubai is a madness. Like, the people that go to Dubai, like, God bless you. But I don't know why you guys go. That place is flipping scary. I'm not gonna lie. From the stories about the girls getting shat on, you know, to stories like this, like, it just seems like a never-ending carousel of nonsense over there, bro. Not for me. From all the man them that go out there and, you know, settle old scores, you know, like, I'm not on it, man. Tion Wayne's out there knocking everybody out. Like, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good on Dubai, man. I'm all set on Dubai. Talking about Dubai, the boy, Drake, the boy has cut his hair. The boy Drake has shaved off, taken off, removed, disassembled the braids. They're no longer. The braids are gone. And his style's completely changed too, by the way. This is probably, I reckon, the dawn of a new era. Probably. Stylistically, artistically, creative direction-wise, this is probably a dawn of a new era. We're going to get some interesting music-y coming out from Drake coming forward, because now the braids are gone. The braids are gone. The caption reads, I'm cash money soldier, like when Tune had the dreads at his shoulders. I passed up on offers. You pussies would have passed out over. Yeah, he's out here, man. No braids. No braids, no braids, no braids. Personally, I understand. I'm not going to lie. I understand. Even Drake at his level, with his amount of wealth, with his time and whatever it may be, one of the main reasons why I don't braid my hair often is because it's just so long. I have to get it cut. Then I have to go book an appointment. Then I have to go there. I have to have, you know, get my hair flipping brushed with a hot comb. You know, then I have to get it conditioned. Then I've got to get it braided. Then I've got to sit under the thing. It's just long. It's flipping long. If in total, I think if I was to get like regular, like, you know, skin fades, beard trims, and a braid all done, it'd take me at least in a day. How long is that? Maybe 2.5 hours every 2 weeks to do that. It's just long. But one of the good things about braiding your hair is that you get the ability to then start wearing regular hats. That's something that I missed even now with the headphones I got on now and the woolly hat I'm wearing. It's kind of nice to be able to wear like regular camp cats and 5-panel hats, because now the only thing I can wear are beanies. Like, you know, and I don't even wear beanies. My head is really huge, you know, double entendre there, but my hair is also massive. So the only thing I can wear are balaclavas. I don't even wear hoods. I don't wear woolly hats. I have to wear balaclavas because they're a bit longer, because obviously they're meant to cover your whole face. But if I wear a regular beanie, that thing is sitting at the top and there's all this fluff and afro coming out the side. So it's a bit mad. But I've also, unfortunately, Drake is more fortunate than I am in some ways more than one. He has a good shaped head, no pores, for having like to have low hair. I don't, unfortunately. My hair, if I shave off my head, which I probably will end up doing at one point, my head shape is a bit of a madness, especially from looking at the front. It looks a little bit like a point. It kind of looks like, who's that guy? My hair shape underneath that, this hair kind of looks like that tech entrepreneur, Mark Andreessen. If you know who Mark Andreessen is, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's how my head looks underneath this hair. This is why I don't cut it. But unfortunately, so it kind of looks cool, I get it, but I also can't wear hats. It also kind of fucks up outfits, I feel like, which is a weird thing to say. But I feel like braids and afros and whatever head I have can kind of fuck up certain looks. It looks good with certain outfits, but then if you put on other looks, it kind of looks a little bit mad, especially if it's not all clean or shaved or skin, whatever, faded. So it's a bit of a mazzoline. But I do understand the frustration and the temperament that goes with those things, because at the moment I'm currently thinking, because I've been twisting my hair up with my fingers a lot recently, I'm actually thinking and debating whether or not I should actually get locks. I probably won't end up doing it because I'm lazy and I always say things and I don't end up kind of following through. But I'm actually kind of debating whether or not I should actually get my hair locked, which might help with the, management overall with it. I don't know. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But Drake has cut his hair. Drake has changed his style. No more jerseys. No more oversized jerseys and stuff. He's going for big, chunky, comfy, jackets and coats, which might be that kid, who's that Californian brand, ELR, or whatever it's called. I think that top might be from there, big flannel, some big white pants. And these pants, I think he makes them himself, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think a lot of the trousers he wears nowadays, he's designed them himself, and obviously he gets them remade in different sort of fabrics and stuff, which is pretty cool. And obviously the big brown boots as well. I'm hoping this isn't the start of the country era, by the way, because everyone's fucking doing country music because that genre is blowing up and they're getting a lot of streams, a lot of money. Hope this isn't hope this isn't flipping Drake doing a Post Malone on us. I really do hope not. But regardless, Drake has cut his hair, stopped the record, drop your baby, kick your mother, run down the street, scream it at the top of your lungs. Drake has cut off his braids. They are no longer. Talking about braids, talking about crazy situation. Look at this, brother. Say what you want about say what you want about Keinemusik, not Krankbrothers. Say what you want about Keinemusik. Have they fallen off? Are they a bit boring, a little bit samey, a little bit pretentious, a little bit obnoxious, a little bit uninspired, unmotivated, going through the motions, hyped? Say what you want. These niggas are the niggas. They are them. They are him. ×3. Krankbrother Presents Keinemusik event that's meant to be happening in Gunnersbury Park in London, Sunday the 15th of June, 2025, is already sold out at all levels. All levels. Number one thing to notice here, they have a stage access ticket. They had a stage access ticket that was on sale for £562.50, and that B is sold out. If you're wondering, actually, what does the stage access ticket grant you? It grants you a queue jump. You get stage access, of course. Access to the side of the stage, dance, overlooking the audience. You get a backstage area, including a luxury toilet. Luxury toilet, huh? Backstage. How can you have a luxury toilet in the park? Huh? A bit of luxury toilet. Just they have like Byredo flipping, hand sanitizer and shit. You have a covered seating area. All access tickets are inclusive with standard ticket for entry. Could you imagine? I don't know how many they had available quantity wise. Maybe they had 5 or 10. But could you imagine the kind of source, the kind of clout, the kind of hype, the kind of fame, the kind of pull you have to sell stage access tickets for £562? I think before booking fee was £500, and they sell out easy. That is insane. And also kind of speaks to like how crazy this whole like stage access VIP thing has become. I feel like it's not the case because Fold is different. I was going to mention Fold as an example. I think at Fold, if I'm not mistaken, again, I've been there a few times, and I think from just looking at the outside in, I don't think you're allowed, if you're not DJing, to stand in the booth. I think they've got like a rule, which is good because you just see the person performing. It's similar to like, you know, quite a few clubs in Berlin, obviously Bergheim being the best example, where they don't let DJs or don't let randoms, your hangers and friends, stand in the booth. It has to be someone playing. No one else can be at the booth, only the people playing, which is really good. But in the tech house, EDM, deep house, minimal, in that world, the stage is basically the green room. That's the VIP area. No, that's not the green room. That's the VIP area, basically. And everyone wants to get on that stage. Everyone wants to get on that stage. It's like become like the best place to be. You want to be seen. Everyone wants to look cool. All this sort of nonsense. It's quite wild, to be fair. I've seen videos, I've spoken about before on my pod, of like guys fighting girls to get closer to these guys on stage, which is fucking crazy to see because, you know, I think most of these guys, if not all three of these guys, are straight. And, you know, they'd much rather have like, you know, 19-year-old Austrian girls trying to flipping, you know, shake their flipping, you know, bouncy boobies at them instead of demand them, right? Instead of someone that looks like me, you know, they don't want that. But it's become that this thing. So I'm wondering now going forward if the success of this Keinemusik event in London and this like ticket tier they had, I wonder if other DJs now will start doing the same thing, will start implementing this. I wonder if we'll see like the Marco Corollas, the Pausers, the Michael Bibbies, the Seth Troxlers, right? These kind of guys decide, you know what, like Joseph Capriati, however you might pronounce his name, the Dixons, you know what? These motherfuckers are always begging it without agents, always begging it in the DMs for G-list and stuff. They want to get in. Clearly there's an appetite for it. Let's start offering G-list spots. Like imagine they start doing that for sale. Imagine how dystopian and how flipping depressing the nightlife dance music scene would be when events start selling G-list spots. Like get them, you know, like, or, you know, when they're gone, they're gone. 10 G-list spots. And it's like double the price of entry, but it guarantees you entry. You pay for a ticket and you pay for a G-list spot. Then they go up, okay, cool, stage access. And the mad thing as well is that I bet you this isn't even stage access. That's the funny thing. I bet you this isn't like actual stage access. I bet you this is like the access like behind the access, you know? So they'll be at the stage where, you know, Ramper and me and Adam Port will be. There'll be the bit where, and all they'll be surrounded by their friends and all famous people and shit and cute people, especially in London. Everyone's going to go to, especially in, when is it? It's in June, right? Yeah, in London in June, it's going to be fucking ram. Maybe, you know, lastminute.com, I might try and ting and try and go, because I actually seen on Ticket Swap, people are selling tickets actually. If you look on Ticket Swap, the reselling site, somebody has sold a couple of tickets already, 100 for 125 euros. I think it's just a regular ticket. So obviously, close to the date, as I've said previously on this pod, nothing is ever really sold out. Just kind of, if you really want to go, just keep your eye out on some of these ticket reselling platforms, and usually things become available. But god damn it, bro, they sold out stage access tickets like months ahead of their event. Flipping amazing. Then they've got VIP admission tickets here for £168 that they sold out instantly. The VIP ticket grants you access to VIP bar, VIP toilets, priority entry, which is weird because you've got the ticket. Why does it matter if you got priority entry? But again, people bought it. Doesn't fucking matter what I say. Early, how much were the cheapest tickets to this event? The cheapest tickets were 60 quid, and they're all sold out. Every tier is gone. Pre-entry, pre-3 p.m. entry, pre-2 p.m., general admission, early bird, VIP, stage access, gone. These guys have got the sauce, man. Say what you want about them. Call them cringe. Maybe, in my opinion, because I used to follow them quite heavy when they first came about. Like I said previously, I've kind of known of Adam Port before he kind of became a DJ, when he was posting fit pics on a Super Future back in the day and stuff. And I was posting them myself as well, looking very dusty and stuff, you know. We do what we do. And then second, you know, I turn around and he's become like a world famous DJ in that, you know what I mean? Pretty wild. But yeah, man, say what you want about the guys, but clearly they've got a pull, man. And it doesn't need to be waning. That's the thing about Keinemusik. It's not waning. I don't feel like there's been a dip. It hasn't fallen off. They just keep getting like more famous, bigger stages, bigger festivals, more sellouts. It just hasn't stopped. It just keeps getting like, it's pretty impressive. You have to be honest. And again, don't know much about the people. I on purpose, especially nowadays, because I've been, you know, privy to some information that's kind of broke my heart concerning certain individuals within the dance music scene. But for the most part, you know, I've kind of prided myself on enjoying most of his stuff from afar like a fan. And you know, I think that's kind of the best way to kind of go about it. I don't really that interested about getting involved in the inner workings on that goes on in the industry, apart from wanting to DJ myself. I could give a toss about, you know, being in the inner circle of these people and being their friends and stuff, but for the most part, I haven't dug deeper, but they seem to be pretty unproblematic. You know, Adam Port's, you know, can come across a little bit obnoxious and insufferable on social media, but apart from that, they're pretty inoffensive. They don't really rattle anyone. They don't really have any crazy hot takes and stuff. They kind of mind their business. They just go on tour. They play a bunch of music, and for a trio too, by the way, which is kind of wild too. They haven't broke up. They don't seem to get on each other's nerves. No one wants to be the star of the show. They're all happy to share the limelight. You know, maybe at a stretch you might say Adam Port might be the more of the diva. He might be a little bit, because I think he's also the only one that's sober there. I think so. He can sometimes be a bit ratty behind the stage and people are kind of getting on his nerves. But still, for a very popular trio, they've done a really good job of like just remaining pretty much the same all the way throughout the time that they've kind of blown up. So maybe we shouldn't be, or I shouldn't be, too surprised that they have completely sold out this event that's going to be happening next year. And they announced this a week. Oh, God almighty. These mofos announced this last week. They announced this last week. By the way, I'm not sure. Is this Keinemusik crew page? Is it an official page that they manage, or is this like a fan page that has just become really popular? Either way, it's pretty cool, because this is where you get all the Keinemusik you know, updates, Keinemusik crew. But yeah, man, they announced this a week ago and it's sold out. And it's happening next year in June. That's like, what, over 6 months to go? It's like, what? Absolutely wild. The announcement for it was pretty cool, by the way, right? They had these projections, you know, on the Millennium Wheel. I don't know what's that? Is that South Bank, I think? Here, projected on the Tate Modern. I'm sure are they projections or are they just photoshops? I think these are projections, right? Did they actually project these onto the wall? I think they did, yeah. They projected this onto the walls of these buildings in London by the River Thames. On this building, looks like it might be South Bank. On the side of the Tate Modern, and I don't know where that is. I think that might be London. No, it's not London Bridge. I forgot. It's one of those bridges. Who gives a fuck? But regardless, they announced this a week ago, bro. A week ago, and this is already sold out. Absolutely insane. The amount of power and the amount of pull that these guys have. Like, this is why I also understand why certain events or certain people are so finicky about booking only the higher ups and not giving, you know, up and coming people a chance to kind of, you know, play at certain places, because the disparity between how many tickets these guys can sell and the people behind them must be pretty crazy. It probably doesn't come close. No one probably comes close to touching them when it comes to tickets. Like, they must move units behind the scenes. There's probably promoters and clubs all over the world that are probably clamoring, fighting over themselves to make sure that they kind of get them to play at their venues, because they know when they do play, it's going to go up. I'm just surprised that people enjoy it as much as, you know, they do. I feel like this kind of stuff, it gets boring after a while, for me anyway, especially to rave at. Or maybe actually that's why people enjoy it, if you think about it. If everything is hard dance, if everything is like 150 plus BPM, everything's about wearing flipping really crazy big aggressive black boots and looking all angry and having flipping chokers and having weird flipping cyberpunk flipping tattoos and stuff, Keinemusik is really chill. You can rock up to the events in a hoodie, t-shirt, not feel like you're underdressed. It's all kind of, you know, you can maybe smoke a joint in this type of events. You don't need to go for the class A's. So that kind of chill, down tempo vibe might be the reason why people like them so much, you know, the music and stuff. For me personally, like I said, I'm a little bit bored of it, kind of, you know. I'm a little bit bored of the FIFA music. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit bored of the FIFA music. Wow, by the way, I just saw the kid in the crowd wearing the flipping scarf over his head. The, you know, the Queen Elizabeth RIP flipping swag that they have kind of popularized. That's when you know you got power, by the way. You know, if you're a DJ and you see kids starting to dress like you, God almighty, that's when you know you have power. And all the phones in the air, like, God damn it. But they do create a spectacle, I get it, but the phones as well, it's like, can we maybe put these phones down and enjoy ourselves? Where was this setting? It was fucking beautiful. I don't know if it was in Egypt or something, but wherever it was crazy. But yeah. People holding up signs, asking for tune IDs. Where's my Caesaralina? I don't know what that's all about, by the way. I guess it's maybe a song that they maybe are debuting. Who bloody knows? But yeah, big up Keinemusik, man. Big up Keinemusik for having the power. There's even a clip up here of them with flipping, what's her name? Camila Cabello. They have a song with Camila Cabello that is probably doing some bits. It's a snippet of it, right? Let's hear a little bit of this before it don't copyright me, please. Fair play. See, that's how much power they've got. Even they've got that much. Look at the guy next to Adam Paul. I don't know who he is, but look how like hyped and excited he feels to be like just looking. He's not even involved. He's just standing behind a booth and he feels like he's like the guy. I don't know. I would never understand DJ booth culture, man. I don't know. Maybe it's because I play myself and I don't really get it, but I'll never understand why people want to be just behind there. Like, the place to be is on the dance floor, honestly. The place to be isn't here. Like, it really isn't. It's like, all right, cool, man. Like, congrats. You're not doing anything. You're not the one playing. You didn't make the tunes. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a strange, you know, it's a strange need. It's a strange need. But, you know, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something because they've all got smiles on their faces. They're clearly having a flipping blast. They're loving every minute of it. But for me, I think the only place you'd want to be, really, if you think about it, is somewhere in the toilets or on the dance floor throwing shapes. You know what I mean? You don't want to be in the booth pretending like you're playing, pretending like you're part of the inner circle when you're not. Because when the event happens, when the event ends and it finishes and everyone goes off to the afters and stuff, you're not going to get invited anywhere. You know? That's the problem. It's all well and good being on that behind the booth and acting like you're a part of the crew, but when the crew goes off to do their thing, guess what? You're not going to get called, you know? Then you're going to get reminded exactly where you are. But yeah, big up Keinemusik regardless. Absolutely incredible to see that they've sold out so many dates so quickly, or so many flipping tiers so quickly. Unfortunately, this might also spell a very sad and weird era of dance music ticket pricing, because if these guys can sell stage access for 500, I think the likes of Joseph Cipriati, however you pronounce his name, and Dixon's and stuff, they can probably sell stage access for 200, 250. I think kids will pay for stage access to stand behind Scream, to stand behind, Marlon Hofstad, like to stand behind all these people. I'm pretty sure they would pay it. So this might spell a very weird, interesting era of flipping dance music, flipping prices of tickets and stuff. I swear it might just get worse before it gets better. Imagine if DJ Heartstrings decided to have a stage access tier for an event they put on. Imagine people would clamor to flipping get on that stage. You flipping know it, man. So big up Keinemusik, you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. By the way, can somebody explain to me what the hell is going on with all these lookalike competitions? I'm sure some of you guys have seen these things, but wagwan for these lookalike competitions. Like, what's the deal with this? I don't understand, because A, the people that enter these lookalike competitions don't look like the people they think they look like, and B, they just look kind of like dumb and kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie. Like, why would you go to this event? Why would you participate? Why do people seem to be so into them? I don't know. But this is a clip showing the winners of the Zayn Malik lookalike competition. Imagine that. These are the winners, by the way. These are the free winners, which also shows you, what type of woke nonsense world we live in where you can have free winners. But let's just play the clip anyway.
Let's go!
That's the guy that won. Does he look like Zayn Malik? I don't know, bro. If I'm Zayn Malik, I'm a little bit pissed. Don't get me wrong, maybe a little bit, but this person here, lady, boy, I don't know. Come on, man. Come on. That's like a DIE selection, isn't it? No way this person got picked on merit. If this guy, fair enough, maybe there's some inkling with the eyebrows and maybe the center of his face, but this person here has no business being in a flipping Zayn Malik lookalike competition. That makes absolutely zero sense. And the guy on the left too. The guy on the left. Come on, bro. Who? Yeah, I don't know about that one. But the other one that really made me laugh was this one. This is the one that made me laugh so hard. This is the contestants, all of them, for the Jeremy Allen White lookalike competition. And if you wonder who that is, that's that white dude from The Bear. Look at the people who they had thinking they look like him. The black guy. The random black guy with his white shirt tucked in. Look at the random black guy. Allegedly, he thinks he looks like Jeremy Allen White. Look at the random black guy. Look at the random black guy. That's a good flipping troll. I'm not gonna lie. That's a really good troll. Oh. To be fair, these guys look way more like him than the Zayn Malik one, to be fair. There's a lot more people here. Oh my God, look at that guy. Bless him. Look at that dude there. Who told this guy he looks like Jeremy Allen White? This one here. I'd be offended, man. You don't call me twin. This one, you don't call me twin. No way. Bless him, man. Okay. There's a woman there, which is weird. Photographers, for journalists, for cameras, look, allow it. Who's that? Is that an Asian lady? What's she doing there? There's so many random people, man. Like, what is this?
Let's go lesbians!
Let's go lesbians, okay? Actually, that guy really looks like him. I think that might have been a winner, right? There was a couple of one. That guy actually looks like him, to be fair. He looks like a jacked version of him. Yeah, he kind of really looks like him, this one there. Okay, a couple more walking down. Oof, that one looks kind of more like him. Oh, Jesus. Who's that lady? What? God damn it. Auntie at the back with the fucking fun bags. Bungle. Okay, cool. But yeah, the guy that actually did end up winning it actually does end up looking a lot like him. I'm not gonna lie, like a really jacked version of Jeremy Allen White. So big up him. That happened in Chicago. There is a winner right there, courtesy of BBC News. Jeremy Allen White lookalike crowned in Chicago. I don't know. I find people who know they look alike. I find people who are lookalikes to be very weird. Anyway, to be fair. People like there's that one particular girl who kind of lives her life through Taylor Swift. She kind of pretends to be Taylor Swift, basically. She's really unhinged. But I think most people who know they look like some people that lean into it, I find them so bizarre, man. So bizarre. Like any man that would purposely or that would willingly want to look like another man, like there's something wrong with you mentally. Like there's something, you know what I mean? You're not really all there in the head. And I don't think I've met a flipping lookalike that's a well-adjusted person. They don't exist. No lookalike well adjusted. They're all a little bit loopy and, you know, a bit odd, a bit weird, a bit on the, I won't say spectrum, but just a bit strange. But regardless, here's the article. Dozens of people descended in Chicago parks on Saturday, vying to be crowned the best Jeremy Allen White lookalike. Contestants including a toddler donned a chef's apron and white t-shirts in the style of the white character Carmen Bezzato from the hit TV show The Bear. Others dressed as characters of Philip in Shameless, another hit TV show. Hundreds of spectators cheered as each contender stepped forward to show their resemblance. Based on levels of applause, the accolade went to the 37-year-old mental health therapist, Ben Shabad. So yeah, fair play. I kind of like the baby. I think the baby entering is really cute. That's all right. It says, I didn't really plan on winning. No, you can plan on winning or looking, yeah, whatever. Especially when I saw that these guys look like Jeremy Allen White, but the energy here is so exciting. As a prize, Mr. Shabad received $50 and a pack of cigarettes. That's really cool, I'm not gonna lie. The prize is really fucking funny. Okay, now I'll probably get why people like going. It's kind of fun. It's kind of harmless fun. He got given $50 and a pack of cigarettes. The show now in its third season follows a young chef. The show won 6 prizes. The lookout competition was organized by Chicago roommates Kelsey Casaro and Taylor Vask. The pair was inspired by the success of similar events in recent weeks by other celebrities including Dave Patel and Paul Mescal. In October, Timothée Chalamet stunned fans after turning up at a lookalike event in New York. It appears that the celebrity doppelganger craze is not yet over, with Saturday's event just the latest in a string of competitions across the country. So yeah, big up, man. Big up the guy. He actually did pretty well. There's quite a lot of competition here that people that actually look like him. But it's a strange phenomenon. We'll probably end up having some in London. People trying to. I think someone tried to organize a Skepta one. I think I did see a post somewhere, or someone tried to do a Skepta one. I saw a kid do a post about a Ruby Rose one. That was funny. Like, so everyone's trying to do a version of theirs. So let's see how this flipping phrase goes. But maybe again, it's another indictment of just how shitty culture is at the moment. There's no real cool events. People are fed up of going to bars and clubs. They're just making up these events to go to. You can just go to a park and hang out and have some fun, you know, have some giggles and shit and shoot the shit and maybe meet some friends. But I think people are fed up of going to bars and clubs and shit, so they're doing all this sort of nonsense, which in my opinion is kind of lame and kind of corny, but everyone seems to be having a good time and smiling. So you know what, I'm gonna let them have their fun. I'm gonna let them have their fun. Of course I am, because you know what, one thing I'm not, hater. That's the truth. Moving on from that one, we got this post courtesy of BBC regarding Liam Payne's funeral. Unfortunately, One Direction stars mourn Liam Payne at a funeral. So you see here Harry Styles to begin with, you see Zayn Malik, you see Louis Tomlinson, you see I think his name, something, was it Niall Horan, that's his name, sorry. And you also see his girlfriend Katie Cassidy there, alongside model Damien Hurley and a few other people that also attended. You got X Factor judge Simon Cowell. The casket being driven through the streets. Damn, son. And the picture of him. So yeah, it looks like a sad occasion. Somber, of course. Another reminder that, you know, that the kid passed away in very tragic circumstances. So RIP to Liam Payne and that stuff. But one thing that did surprise me, and one thing that I was a little bit perturbed by, was this actually update regarding the people at the hotel being charged. I don't know, maybe I've got an unpopular opinion on this sort of thing, but I don't think this is fair. It's tragic how he passed, it really is, but charging the people who supplied the drugs to a grown adult who willingly bought them, I don't know, it's a little bit wild to me. Like, it's a little bit wild. I know the family's probably in a lot of pain and everyone's suffering, especially his family, close family and friends, his fans. But I think at some point you just gotta like chalk this up as like a tragedy. But I don't think it's any one person's fault, you know? Everybody's kind of collectively responsible for what happened to him. But the charge people that did it seems a little bit too much. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's read the article. The 3 people have been arrested and charged in Argentina in connection with Liam Payne's October 16th death. The suspects are charged with the abandonment of a person, followed by death, as well as supply and facilitation of narcotics. Argentina's National Criminal and Correctional Prosecution Office said on Thursday, November 7th, press release. The suspects have not been named by the authorities. The One Direction star died after falling from a third floor hotel balcony. According to the press release, Payne was not fully conscious or was experiencing a state of noticeable decrease of loss of consciousness at the time of the fall. After Payne fell from the balcony and died, illicit conduct was discovered from which 3 people were charged with the crimes. So I'm assuming, again, illicit conduct could be in a lot of things, but from what I've been able to read between the lines online, it does seem like they are charging the hotel workers for supplying him with the drugs that might have been cut with horrible stuff or whatever. But I just think, you know, at that point, like if a grown adult is seeking the help of a hotel receptionist to score some baggy somewhere, that's kind of, you know, he's gonna run the risk of maybe getting some dodgy stuff. It's just it's the risk you run when you do drugs in the first place. So to blame the person for supplying them, it's just, I don't know, it feels kind of out of order in my opinion, but again, I could be wrong. Authorities conducted 9 raids this week, the release says. One of the suspects is a person who accompanied the artist on a daily basis during the stage at Buenos Aires. The second suspect is a hotel employee accused of supplying Payne with cocaine, and a third of his alleged drug supplier. According to the release, prosecutors have attempted to reconstruct the days of Payne was staying at the Casa Sur Hotel on Costa Rica Street. Prosecutors said in the release that the self-harm of any kind of physical intervention by third parties was ruled out. November 7th release from the authorities in Argentina states that in the moments before his death, in a period of 72 hours, Payne had traces of polydrug use of alcohol, cocaine, and prescription antidepressants in his body. Yeah, man, he was going through it, innit? He was going through it. He was doing a lot, probably doing too much. You know, allegedly he's also very wealthy, which I didn't know, but most of it I'd assume came from One Direction, and he still had the money, which I guess you could say it's quite hard to blow that much money, because he was, you know, he was still he was in his like early 30s, isn't it? So and the One Direction, you know, didn't finish that long ago. So he still had a lot of money, still was, touring relatively, doing his thing. So untold amounts of money, extremely handsome and wealthy guy. Unfortunately, it's a recipe for disaster, but I don't think the people that supplied the drug or that he purchased the drugs from, because he went and willingly sought them out, should be punished. It feels a little bit sad. It feels a little bit unfair. And it feels like, they're trying to, I guess, blame somebody for his death. But unfortunately, these situations, as like harsh and callous as it may sound, the only person you could blame is him. The only person you could blame is him, because it seemed like he was on a crash course. He was on a crash out. He's going to crash out eventually. That's just basically the long and short of it. It was going to get to this point eventually. It seemed like everybody has said it. Everybody he kind of crossed paths with him said he was doing too much. Even the people in his band, ex-bandmates, were kind of distancing themselves from him. The last video we kind of all saw from him on the timeline was that really cringy kind of video where he went to, I think, Niall Horan's concert, and he was in a VIP area, and he was like, basically turned it into his own little show, and he was giving it the big un to all the, not big un, he was like, kind of lording up all the praise and love from all the girls down below. Like, he was going through it. And then, of course, that young girl, who, again, I'm not too sure if it's true, but there was some girl that was doing the rounds on social, who basically was about to release a book about, her experience with Liam Payne and how it wasn't the most favorable. So it did seem like, it was, the internet was kind of turning against him. Then there was alleged accusations of maybe some bad things. So it did seem like he was only going to go one way. And of course, it seemed like everyone around him was trying to pull him in the right direction. But when you're determined to crash out, you will crash out. So to prosecute and charge the hotel workers, to me, feels a little bit out of order. It feels a little bit, just a tiny bit out of order. But again, what do I know? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Continuing on. So I wanted to talk about, obviously, the main subject of this pod regarding the sneaker of the year. So as most of you guys know, the Complex Sneakers of the Year event happened the other day at ComplexCon, and the whole thing caused a bit of a furor on my side of social media, more so because of the panel. People thought the panel was very uninspired. As Kari says here, sneaker fetish. I'm sorry, but what is this? So there's not one woman on the entire sneaker community worth being on a ComplexCon Sneaker of the Year panel. Nobody at all. Bad move. I'm popular opinion here. I think a lot of people were just like morally posturing and faking the funk and trying to look incredibly progressive and woke for no reason. But I don't think they were really bothered that there were no girls on here. If anything, I think they were more bothered that they weren't on there. I think they were using girls and women in sneakers, in sneaker culture, as like a human meat shield, as a proxy to complain that the lineup and the panel for the Sneaker of the Year panel discussion thing at ComplexCon was a little bit dead, stale and uninspired, because it featured 3 of the guys from Complex who do full size run, Yati, who a lot of people like myself don't think is that knowledgeable about sneakers, or you're not really caring what he has to say, and PJ Tucker, who's known for wearing PEs and stuff, but really famous basketball guy, super rich, gets all the stuff. Like, what is he really going to say? I don't know. You're not really going to learn much from him. I don't think so. So I think everybody trying to, champion women in sneakers and streetwear and, put, cape for certain people. I don't think they really wanted to see girls. They just wanted to see some new faces. And I agree. I feel like because it's a complex event, you're going to have these 3 guys, right? The main 3 dudes who are involved in these events, you're going to have them there regardless. Me personally, I wouldn't have them there because I think all 3 are pretty wash. Matt Welty, for the most part, I feel like, I've never, he has a very particular taste when it comes to shoes and stuff, and I've never really been that into it, or his opinions on some of the stuff. It seems like anything with an N, anything with an A6 mark on the side of it, he seems to love. I don't know, if you care about his taste level and stuff. Not for me personally. So I think Matt Welty's not really the best choice for like a Sneaker of the Year panel. I think it works better when you're like maybe doing a deep dive into a particular model, the history behind it, its connection to this, that, or the other. That might be a good place to go. When it's like judging about the best sneaker in the year, he's not probably the best judge for it. Joe LaPuma, I also don't think is the best judge when it comes to Sneaker of the Year, because I think he dresses like shit and he's also a little bit corny and lame. And the only person I'd actually would like to stay on the panel for Sneaker of the Year would be a Brendan. That Brendan Duden guy, he's quite funny. He's also got a very, particular taste when it comes to sneakers. He likes stuff that's not really too bait and whatever it may be. He tries to pull stuff that you would deem to be GRs and try to make it kind of like the European way of like being a sneakerhead and not just always going for the limited edition stuff. So I think I would have kept him. But if you are going to keep all three, because it's a complex event fair, then at least pick 3 people who are a little bit different in ages and different in kind of backgrounds, and maybe come with a whole new different type of energy. But I think in these type of events, from the time that I've organized panel discussions, people really underestimate how, number one, difficult they are to organize and how hard it is to get people to agree. Panel discussions are pretty difficult to book. People don't really want to do them. They're a little bit lame. No matter how much money you're going to get paid, they're a little bit lame. They don't really matter. You know, they kind of exist where they exist and they kind of go away. So it's a bit of a waste of time. You know, kind of awkward as well, and people just don't want to do them. So maybe the reason why we got this lineup is because these are the only people that are really available and ready to do the fucking panel for the most part. But yeah, the panel was kind of shit, but I don't think it's to do with women. I think it's just to do because, you know, ComplexCon and Sneakers of the Year panel discussion things is a little bit of a dumb, lame thing to go to in the first place. That aside, this reaction to it has been funny. Because Sockjig, big up Sockjig, one of my favorite sneaker podcasts, got into a bit of a tit-a-tat, a bit of a beef with one of the girls who's a, what is she, Complex editor-in-chief, who kind of came into for some criticism, which I kind of agree with, because some people were there were some people that were being earnest and sincere in their shock and horror that Complex wouldn't have one woman on the Sneaker of the Year panel discussion at ComplexCon, but they were also a little bit confused, like, didn't they recently hire a big editor-in-chief that was a black woman, and they were making it be a big thing and championing it, and then when the panel discussion happens, they don't have one woman on the stage. So they're kind of calling out hypocrisy and saying like, well, go on, do you know what I mean? Like, you're virtue signaling about black women, but they don't have women on stage. What's the deal? So some people called her out. One person in particular is Sockjig. He said the following: I would say it all to her face if actually the Complex editor-in-chief has a lot to say about me and not about representation at her own Sneaker of the Year panels, it seems. Thank you for blessing the podcaster. So obviously she must have heard what Sockjig had said, you know, basically echoing some of the thoughts that I said about the lack of women there and kind of the hypocrisy of the whole situation, or the double standards, whatever the term you want to use. So she got on her stories, and her reply back to him was really strange. I'm not gonna lie, her reply back to Sockjig was very bizarre, because it was like, I don't know who she was arguing at or what point she was addressing, but it did kind of reveal maybe some of the sentiment and the feeling some of these guys have about the fans, you know, on the outside. They kind of look down on you. They kind of treat you like, you know, you're fucking, you know, chewing them at the bottom of their flipping, you know, retro Jordan 1s or something. But this is the lady, Aria Hughes. Someone just sent me some screenshots from Sneaker Twitter, LMAO. All I'll say is this: whatever vindication or attention y'all are seeking, I pray you find it. And it's very easy to critique from wherever you are, knowing you would never approach, let alone meet, let alone say a word to my face. That's my issue. Y'all have a hard-ons for people who wouldn't even know you, who wouldn't even know who you were if you were in the same room. Like, imagine having an ego. Imagine having some level of an ego because you work at Complex. Imagine having some level of an ego because you think you're somehow higher up on the totem pole, because what? You get sent some free shoes from time to time. You get sent to flipping press events with brands and stuff. It's like, bruh, it doesn't matter, man. If anything, we're all losers. Anybody over the age of flipping 18 who's like feverishly buying sneakers and queuing up and, you know, refreshing pages and buying bots and in discords and in forums, we're all losers. We accept that. It's a very dorky, lame, losery thing to be into sneakers and collect them and, you know, be pontificating about them and obsessing about outsoles and midsoles and meshes and toe box and laces and insoles and air bubbles and colorways and materials and all this sort of shit. It's crap. It's lame. So allow posturing and acting like you're better than everybody because you work at bloody Complex, like one of the lamest magazines and publications and outlets that's ever existed. Like, imagine no one would know who you are. It's like, what? Like, who knows who you are? Like, who would know who you were if you didn't work at Complex? Like, what? Bloody hell, people. Anyway, and y'all allow them wrong. Talking about my journalism skills, no one is above critique, but don't disrespect me. I work very hard and have been for a very long time. Go outside, focus on something other than sneakers. Like, imagine being a sneakerhead, working at Complex, people are criticizing you and your platform for not having a more diverse, inclusive platform. You get called out on it, and then you start telling people to like go outside and touch grass. No, that's the whole point of the panel. We don't touch grass. Some of us don't even like creasing our shoes. Like, what are you talking about? Without us touching grasses, you don't have an event. You don't have a platform. Like, you don't have a magazine. Like, shut up. Anyway, God bless you. God bless you and your podcast. I hope it reaches whatever heights of success you'd like for it to reach. Obviously, you know, I don't think she means that. But yeah, crazy situation. Very, very crazy. I think the reaction was very weird. Again, didn't address the point, which, you know, there was a lack of diversity and inclusion. I think just mainly because the panel was just boring, innit? Like, just who wants to listen to these guys talk about shoes? I don't, you know. I rarely want to listen to their pod, really. Like, you know, especially Welty's are annoying. Like, just look at his face, bro. Like, have you seen some of the fit pics that he takes? And that face that he has, like, he looks like he's seen something really, like, I don't know, seen something like he's seen like he's on the scene of a murder or something. His face at all times is really weird. And yeah, like I said previously, I think he's, you know, got great style, and maybe somebody you want to hear talk about streetwear and fashion, but do you want to hear him talk about sneakers when he's just, you know, buying all the rare ones because he has the money to do so? Like, I don't know. Not really going to give you any really, you know, nuanced opinions about sort of stuff. But anyway, what do I know when it comes to that sort of stuff? We move on. One of the other issues is obviously the sneakers that made the sneaker of the year list. And some of them are interesting. Some of them are downright disrespectful. Let's go through some of them here. So top 10, right? And it's going to go obviously 10 and so forth. Number 10 sneaker of the year is the Jar Tip Saucony Omni 9. Now, personally, I feel like this is a little bit of a personality selection because Jai Tips is very well liked on social media or whatever else it may be, very popular within his community and shit, so big up. But I also do like the fact that we have a non-traditional and non-big free whatever, you know, shoe in the top 10. That's a good thing to see. It's a Saucony, right? It's not a New Balance, it's not an Adidas, it's not a flipping Nike, it's not a Jordan, it's not an SB, it's not a retro, or it's a retro in some sense, but I like the fact that we've got a non-Nike shoe, a non-Adidas shoe in the top 10. Great to see. But I do feel it's a little bit of a personality pick for me personally. And the fact that this is there, but you don't have the John Geiger 004s is, you know, crazy, but we'll move on to that another time. Number 9, we have the Nigel Sylvester Air Jordan 4s. Not gonna lie, I think they're too high. As much as I love the shoe, I think they're too high. I think having these at number 4 is a bit, number 9 is a bit crazy, when essentially it's just like a reimagined Jordan 3 or Jordan 4, sorry, or even like like a Airfly 89. I've actually thought, when it comes to Nigel Sylvester, I thought he was actually done dirty by Nike in general, being the BMX legend that he is. I don't think this should have been a Jordan anyway. This should have been something that was made underneath his own sort of like imprint, like, you know, I don't know, what is it, NS bike or something, right? That he should have had his own like bike range, like an actual range that isn't a Jordan. I don't really understand how Jordan brand has that. They have like football stuff, they have like basketball stuff. It's just weird. It's all over the place. But I think he deserved his own thing, his own signature line properly, that is devoid of the Jordan brand. But I think this selection is way too high in my personal opinion, even though I don't like the shoe. Number 8, the Futura Nike Dunk SB Low, I think is super high. Having a Dunk SB Low in the top 10, it has to be extraordinary. And I don't think this is extraordinary personally for me. I think even the other color is better than this, so that would have made more sense having that there. I think having a Dunk Low in the top 10 is flipping wild. I would go as far as saying that if you're gonna have a Dunk in the top 10, put the Panda there. It's horrendous and it's a GR and it's a normie NPC shoe. But if you're really gonna be like, yeah, what's sneaker of the year? I'd much rather see a Panda Dunk than this. Like, what? Like, okay, cool. Oh, come on, man, come on. Number 7 shoe is the Wu-Tang Nike Dunk High, a shoe that no one even got to wear until maybe a couple of weeks ago. Again, this list is awful, man. This list is fucking awful. Okay, cool. Number 6 is the Action Bronson New Balance 1906. In my opinion, too high. I think if you have a top 20, they might be in my top 20, but they're not in the top 10. Too high for me, even though it's a really nice colorway. He kind of snaps on the colorway because it reminds me of, you know, those old school Nike women's Air Maxes from back in the day, but too high for me. Number 5, you got the Kith Asics Marvel pack. You have to select one. You can't select the whole pack. This is again a cheat and horrible selection. Top 5 shoe is crazy to me, but hey. Number 4, you got the Kobe 4 Pro Tro Girl Dads. What the fuck is that? Again, maybe I'm not American. That probably is the reason why I don't get these. But as just a shoe, it's horrendous. Maybe as a basketball shoe, performance-wise, it's crazy. But these look incredibly horrible. Number 3, the Jordan Jumpman Jacks. This is actually a good pick, I think, because it's an interesting silhouette. But I think it's too high. I think number 3 is crazy. To have this in the top 3 sneaker of the year is insane. It's insane. It's good to have it on the list because it mixes things up, but top 3, come on, bro. The Jordan 2 come on, the Jordan 4 reimagined breads in number 2 pick. This is such a bad. This is one of the most uninspired. That's why I don't understand why people get their knickers in a twist about the fucking complex fucking sneaker of the year thing. Anyway, they don't really know what they're talking about, man. They're absolutely lost when it comes to selecting shoes. They don't know. Like, what is this? Why is there a bread 4 as sneaker of the year? How does that make sense? It's like putting the Pine Dunk SB. Like the Pine Jordan 4 SB would have made more sense being sneaker of the year last year in that selection than this. Reimagined bread, really? What next? Cement Freeze are going to be top. Like, really? Maybe my criteria of sneaker of the year is a bit weird, but I think there should be a little bit about included in terms of staying power, in terms of the year. They should, or maybe demand in general. There should maybe be a selection process. One of the criteria should be about a kind of, I will say, originality. Like, imagine if look at the Cortez, Huarache. If that comes out early in the year, that could be a potential flipping. Or no, man, forget when it comes out. That's a potential sneaker of the year because you've taken a very unloved and overlooked model like the Air Trainer Huarache, and you've kind of brought it back into prominence. Man, you've kind of made people fall in love with it again or remember it even exists. But a Jordan 4 bread, like, everyone knows this is a. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? And then the number 1 shoe of the year, courtesy of Complex, is the Adidas AE ones, which I don't have a problem with because I really like the design. They kind of they're a bit like Yeezy influenced, and Anthony Davis is pretty sick. And all the activations and marketing, where video clips I've seen around the shoe is really cool. It's kind of reinvigorated that whole marketing rollout stuff when it comes to signature shoe lines and stuff, especially when it comes to sports. But number 1 shoe of the year, really, number 1. Maybe this goes to show that we're in a bit of a bad slump when it comes to sneaker design and stuff, that this is the number 1 shoe of the year. I think it's a little bit mad. Maybe top 5 still, but I don't think it's number 1. But the list itself is crazy. They got Jumpman Jacks at 3. That's when like the complex payola accusations. I understand where they come from, because to have those Travis Scott's Jumpman Jacks like number 3 is insane. I don't even know I wonder what's even the resale on. Like, are these even popular with people? Do people even wear these? I like them, don't get me wrong, because I think they'll make for good like CrossFit shoes, but I don't even know if regular people even like these. They don't look like that people like them, but I could be wrong. Either way, the complex flipping sneaker of the year selection's over. Everyone's selected, and the number 1 shoe is the AE ones. So after all that hullabaloo, all of that pontification, all the arguing on social media, that's the list. Boring, uninspired, and a little bit underwhelming, really. What do you expect? Nothing, really. I would hope going forward somebody will step up and just have an alternative version of this, because I feel like no one wants to do it because it's lame anyway, and it's a waste of time, really. But there should be an alternative to the complex sneaker of the year, because I feel like their selections are always terrible, and there's so much like drama around the fucking show. When it happens, it's a little bit like, oh, okay, cool. Like, let's just have other people do it, please, for the love of God. Let's have other people do it, or let's just never do it again, because this list was absolutely terrible. That list was absolutely terrible. Cool. What can you do? Absolutely nothing. Anyways, my friends, that has been it. That has been the Excellent Thing Show episode number 838. Thank you so much for tuning in. Always a pleasure. Never ever a chore. If it's your first time checking out the show, make sure if you're watching the live stream that you like the stream down below. If you're watching it via the YouTube, make sure you leave me a 5-star review. That would be greatly appreciated. For those of you listening to the pod via the audio podcast, you will hear my tune of the day, which will be Fimiguerro, Len, and Lancey Foux, the conglomerate. Amazing album. I'll probably do a review for it in the next podcast, but the opening track, Blackbirds, is my tune of the day. It's an absolute barnstorm of a track. It sets the mood. It's cinematic. It's sinister. It's evil. It's dark. It's bassy. It's aggressive. It's all the things I flipping love. And I feel like Fimiguerro, Len, and Lancey Foux absolutely destroyed it. I recommend you check it out. It's an amazing album, an amazing track. I'm sure some of you have probably seen it. This is the track that I'm talking about, or album I'm talking about, Conglomerate. Make sure you check it out, featuring Fimiguerro, Len, and Lancey Foux. They are three of the best kind of, up and coming artists, or not up and coming. Fimiguerro and Len are up and coming. Lancey has been established for a long time, but they've come together to put out this album, Conglomerate, and it's doing absolutely bits. So I recommend you check it out. And my track of the day is obviously Blackbirds, track number 1 on that album. Thank you for tuning in to the X Zinger Show. Peace, peace, peace.